Hello, welcome to today's verse of the day. But before I get into the verse of the day, I kind of want to set it up a little bit, and I want to talk to you a little bit about our current context of life. And today's verse will cover leadership, and we'll see what the idea of leadership really looks like from a biblical context, and from a context different than what we see in culture. And what we see in culture right now is we're in this season of life. If you haven't heard the term, the Great Resignation, meaning people are leaving their jobs in droves. They're looking for other positions. They're looking for other opportunities. And really what we're seeing a lot of is people are looking for other leaders, because the leaders that they're currently working for are not doing their jobs well. They're leading from a perspective of selfishness. They're leading from a perspective of only worrying about what needs to get done and not worried about their people, not worried and concerned about those that are serving with them. It's not that they're under them, it's they're serving with them. And so we see something a little different here in the Bible. We see a different context when we're dealing with leadership, when we're looking at a person of influence, a person in a position of authority. And today's verse is Mark 9:35, the New Living Translation. So Jesus, he sits down and he calls the 12 disciples over to him. And he says to them, whoever wants to be first must take last place and be the servant of everyone else. So you see, there's a little bit of a different context here that Jesus teaches. He's not saying that you actually should lord over others, that you should be the boss telling everybody what to do, but you should be the greatest servant of all. If you want to be a leader, if you want to be a person in a position of authority, you should consider yourself last and do for others and be the servant of those people. That's where this idea of servant leadership comes from. So we've heard that term a lot in our culture as well. Of course, not many leaders actually follow it. They talk about it, they listen to it, but they don't put it into context. And this idea, just like many of the great ideas in our world today, believe it or not, come straight from the Word of God. Just like this one, this idea of servant leadership. So that being the case, if you're a person in position of authority or influence, which many of us already are, we may not even know it, but we're in positions of influence, whether it's with family members, with friends, of course, if we're in a position of influence at work, and even in that case, the truth is, even if you're not technically a leader or a manager at your boss, you can still be a person of influence. You could still be a leader by being the servant of everyone else, by looking and considering others around you and looking to help build them up, looking for opportunities to encourage them, to lift them up in those difficult seasons, or even not so difficult seasons, really seeing the good in them and encouraging them in those areas. That could be with your kids, that could be with your friends, that could be with those around you, because there's never a limit on encouragement, at least as far as I'm concerned. So I want to encourage you that as we look at this text, that we understand that to be a leader really means to be a servant. And Jesus showed that very, very clearly by the way he lived. I mean, he went so far as to wash his disciples' feet, which was unheard of for a rabbi to do that. So he was countercultural. So what we're called to be is to be countercultural as well. So I want to encourage you and challenge you to be that person of influence, be that servant of others, take the last place. Don't try to be first, but try to be that person that actually serves others and gives to others and does for others as well. Hey, brothers and sisters, so glad you could join me today. It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to get a chance to share the Word of God with you and encourage you as you go forward and walk in your walk. Seeing you very soon. God bless.